Okay, welcome to the Wednesday webinar. Going to get ready to get things started, guys. Give me a couple seconds here. I hope everything is okay. We had a pretty good week today in terms of like what we've been doing on the back end, building relationships, getting things going, and have some great announcements. So, without any further ado, I'll just give a brief summary of what's happening in the market. For the most part, just we're going overall, the total market is going sideways. We're not having any drastic upward movements or downward movements. But when you look at LPC and LGS, we've had some downward movements in the altcoins. So today, just looking at the overall market, we have a total market cap of $210 billion with a BTC dominance of about 54%. Today, the market, when you look at some of the top coins, is up not too much, but for the most part, it's positive. BTC is sitting around $6,500. When you look and we take a dive into the specifics of LPC and LGS, for the most part, down, even though most of the masternode coins are up. It's the case that we are looking at LGS and LPC. We're down for the most part. Lightpay coin is up within the past 24 hours up to 50 cent per coin price. Over 2,400 masternode coins with an ROI of 286% with a masternode price of around $500, so $484. And for the most part, guys, I'll make some announcements now, and I think this is an opportune time for you to take advantage of information that I'll be telling you really soon about what's happening with us. But for the most part, we're down well over our of going a couple months back, well over 90% when you looking at our price of around stabilized price of around $5 per LPC, almost $2 million in our market cap, 63,000 in our daily volume. But then when we take a look at Lotus coin, 429, down 18% from yesterday. It was up yesterday, but it's the case we've had some pullbacks. We're looking at 2.5 million in total market cap with 500,000 in total daily volume. We listed on System Coin and IODEX over the past week or so. So that's a good announcement in terms of building out the infrastructure that we're on more exchanges to allow for more liquidity and price discovery. ROI around 666% with around 400 masternodes in place. Considering that the price is coming down, it's appearing more affordable to some individuals coming in. But I know the original set of investors who came in at our pre-sale price of around $6 may be a little upset. But however, at this point in time, you should be up. Considering that you've probably doubled and tripled on the masternodes, but that's no excuse in terms of where we are. The overall market is down, guys. I see there are a lot of announcements going on in the space. For instance, the Fidelity announcement we mentioned last week, in addition to the backed exchange that's getting ready to list in November, in the first part of December. So I think that's a pretty good announcement that's going on. I'll give you guys some updates. I'll take a quick pause to just see if we have questions. I have my other screen here I'm taking a look at. Time for some beer. Where's KuCoin? Z Classic. When KuCoin. As I mentioned before, we did submit to KuCoin. They came back and they told us that our project was a little too young. Let's make a little bit more progress on our roadmap. And because of that, we're taking feedback from the exchanges, what they're telling us. And for that, I have a big announcement that's coming at the end of this webinar, and I'm trying to keep it relatively short, within 30 minutes. But to address some of those issues, and I know you guys want to get on bigger and bigger exchanges, and we are having conversations with larger and larger exchanges. As a matter of fact, transitioning into the summary of the blockchain smart summit in Bucaramanga, Colombia. I just got back on Monday, but had an opportunity to make some great relationships moving forward and some initiatives with some municipalities there or some regional governments who are very interested in how we have deployed and are using master nodes, but they're interested in using it for educational purposes and also for charity purposes as well. Not only the local municipality, but there was also a um, a tech company that also had a charity arm as well, and they're looking forward to interacting. So I think we will engage more with the Latin American market in the sense that it's not too far to take a trip and get on a plane to go to Colombia or to Ecuador or to Panama. So with that said, we did make some pretty good relationships there. I won't disclose the exchange, but it's the case. It's a top 15 exchange. We had a pretty good relationship and a conversation around how we would get listed on their exchange. It's the case. The representative for all of Latin America was at the conference, and we had some discussions about how we could move forward. I won't reveal the exchange because don't necessarily want to say, oh yeah, we're getting listed on this particular exchange. But in having conversations with them, they're interested a lot in based on the conversation I had with the representative of that exchange. He said they're looking for a lot of OTC volume. So if we can give them OTC volume, over-the-counter volume, that is volume that is not going to be represented on the exchange as shown by, say, Coin Market Cap, but large volume buyers. We've had some large volume buyers, but it's the case we didn't direct them to Kraken until a later point in time. So as we begin to onboard customers, we will refer that OTC volume to them. And that'll put us in a great position to be listed on some of the one of the top exchanges in the world in terms of its retail volume and its OTC volume, which we're not seeing at this point. And just to give a background on like what's happening, guys, as you begin to do a read up on what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, a lot of infrastructure is being built for institutions, for exchanges, and also for projects. Some projects are going to whittle and weed away. Some projects are going to are going to stand up and actually meet the challenge of this environment in terms of when we look at the regulatory clarity, also the challenges faced in different parts of the world. And I think both LPC and LGS are strategically positioned to capitalize on developments that are happening not only in the educational space with mass adoption, as I mentioned earlier, our partnership with UCF, but also in building out our products when you begin to think about the point of sale devices and the ATMs and next generation of wallets. So with that said, um, what's up, Adamida? Jim is in the room. Okay, just taking a quick pause before I take a dive um, and answer any other questions here. I don't see that there are any other questions, but let me let me let me go back and backtrack for a minute as it relates to getting on more exchanges and talking with exchanges and building relationships with them. The larger exchanges, we're talking at this point, we're talking about top 50 and up. And I think that's where we need to be at this point, even though my goal is to have 40 exchanges by end of December. 40 by 40, that puts us in a position when you look at the liquidity and the market cap of the top 50 and top 50 coins in the market. Basically they're on about 40 different exchanges when you look at where the listing is. So we don't necessarily want to depend on one exchange, but multiple exchanges across the world. And I think the listing that we did on X rates it's a good listing, but the volume's just not there at this point, as the retail market, as pretty much those investors are already in. But then once you begin to look at the institutional side, and we're not seeing this being reflected in on CoinMarketCap there's lots of OTC volume coming in from institutions and larger buyers. But that's pretty much what's happening in this space. The overall volume of the cryptocurrency market is not going up, but larger players are coming in. So with that said, exchanges are encouraging us to make further progress on our roadmap and position and put us in a position where we look legitimate. We are legitimate in terms of our operations, and we're moving forward with lots of partnerships. So, with that said, I'll go ahead and make the announcement because I mentioned earlier about the blockchain Smart Summit that was in Bucaramanga and interacting with a top 50 exchange and building the relationships for us to get listed with them as we bring on more OTC volume or over the counter or corporate and large volume buyers. In addition to that, um, moving on to another conference that we will be presenting at in not Bucaramanga, but actually in Hollywood, Florida. Guys, I would recommend that you get your tickets. If you're going to come to the conference, it's going to be a great conference because we'll be making not one, but two very big announcements. I mentioned on the last call, the last webinar, that we have been approached by a partner um, much larger than what we had ever expected. And I want you guys to be in a position where you're able to hear the announcement live and in person, because that's going to be absolutely wonderful. We are making that announcement at the conference December the 3rd through the 5th in Hollywood, Florida. Get your tickets. At the same time, moving on to our next announcement at the um, Blockchain World Conference in Hollywood, Florida, the 3rd through the 5th. And I'll make this announcement now. We have and just to give some context, we're in a position with the relationship of University of Central Florida and doing work with them, helping them to build out their fintech program, working with students and helping to make modifications, edits, designs, and some programming around some of the interfaces, particularly when we talk about the point of sale, the web-based point of sale devices. We go through a process each and every time when we decide either to partner or we decide to build it ourselves. With LPC, the track and tracing application on blockchain, that's something we decide to build ourselves and actually fund the project. So at the same time, it makes sense you build or buy, and those are the two primary concerns. You can build it, which would take lots of time, and launch and iterate within a university setting, then subsequently finding a manufacturer for your design and then deploy it. Or you can buy. You go through a scenario where you find a partner where you align not only in terms of your values, but in terms of your strategic vision and how you all can work together for the next 5 to 10 years. And right now, that's how we're looking at things. How can we build relationships with strategic organizations in the traditional when I mean traditional world, traditional or corporations where there's centralized entities that are already established or market players and building relationships with them. I'm of the thought at this point with what we have done in our partnership with the largest R&D university in the United States, our upcoming relationship announcement that we will talk about we will disclose in December. We have decided what we have already in place a manufacturer for our ATMs and point of sale devices. There are some minor things that we need to work through in terms of the agreement, but for the and manufacturing of the ATM machines, manufacturing of the point of sale device, and distribution of the point of sale device. I'm pleased to announce at this point at the Blockchain World Conference, we will be revealing our operational ATM machines and our operational point of sale devices. I'll take a pause on that. Once again, we will be demoing live at the Blockchain World Conference our ATM machines and our point of sale device, which will be ready for shipping and distribution across the world using our Logis Coin application. Once again, Logis Coin is in place. The partners are already in place. The point of sale devices and the ATM machines in place. So I'll be making that reveal at the conference. So it's at the point not only revealing of our product, but also of our partner that we're moving into the space with at this point. I'm going to take a quick pause there to see if there are questions, um, and I'll answer them there. As I see Miguel. How you doing, Miguel? Right now, I'll take a pause and to see if we have questions or comments coming in. But yes, guys, we will be revealing our ATMs and point of sale devices on stage at the Blockchain World Conference and making our partner announcements. So, any questions? I'm just going to take a pause again. This is, and just to mention, this is for LPC and LGS. LPC and LGS will be on, both LPC, LGS will be on the ATMs, where you'll be able to insert fiat, make your purchase of LPC, LGS. Also on the point of sale device, be able to make your purchase, LPC or LGS. The point of sale device will be available for stores. And primarily B2C institutions. So when, for instance, and one of our first targets is to be able to have these devices deployed in a setting where we can begin to do get lots of feedback in a very quick, a very short amount of time. For example, we are starting that process now with the University of Central Florida to deploy the point of sale device in the businesses or within the university ecosystem of the students use. So you're talking about the stores that are located within the student union, also some of the university services as well. So it's a slow process. I'm not saying it's happening today, but we're moving to get the ATMs in place so that students will have access to the digital assets that we provide in LPC and LGS, and perhaps another one or two of the larger currencies. Um, but once the students have access to the digital assets, we're moving into the stores, getting some of those partners in place who would want to trial the point of sale devices where there would be zero fees. Zero fees. This is what I want to emphasize once again. We're flipping the model on its head where the payment provider or payment solution that's in place, like a Visa or an American Express or a MasterCard, they're charging fees for swipes on the devices for the point of sale, which that 2.5%, 3% is killing medium and small businesses in place. And even the larger corporations are fighting them now, suing them in court. As I mentioned, the issue with Kroger suing Visa and no longer using Visa in California. That's a target for us. At the same time, um, Walmart suing the bigger player, suing Visa as well over the fees. So it's something that we are in a strategic position where the problem is clear, the solution is clear. We just need to be able to make the match with the institutions that feel the pain and would like to try our solution. Once again, we're just providing options at this point, greater options in using something else that's different. It doesn't make sense to pay 2.5%, 3% when you have a alternative where fees are free. So that's the thing. We're gonna get some resistance because people say, well, typically if it's free, there's something to it. There's something going on. Well, let's explain it like this. If you own the network, why would you charge yourself? So if you are a business and you own masternodes and you are a part of the LPC or LGS network, when you talk about supply chain, when you're a member or you're an institution that's using our supply chain application, why charge yourself to make payments if you actually own part of the network? Same thing goes with the payment network for LPC. If you own part of the payment network, why would you charge yourself? At a later point in time, if you wanted to charge fees, it's the case you can make adjustments within your own wallet, and it's linked to your point of sale device. So that's an adjustment that you can make. But I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm gonna take a quick pause to see if there are any other questions. Okay. Right now, let me answer the question from John Jacob. That's a long name. I think that's like 4 names. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Who will be distributing the ATMs? How does this work? And from what I understand, from the The manufacturer, right now, they have solutions in place for the distribution of the ATMs. The more I disclose, the more I give away. And right now, I don't want to disclose any information about them because as soon as I mention it, everybody's going after them to say, okay, is this true? What about A, B, C, D? But what I will tell you is that there are some issues where they're produced around the world in general, but it's the case we would like to be able to consolidate in various markets here in the US and other areas within the Americas. So with that said, because of, as you all know right now, we're going through a trade war, and it makes sense for us to be in places that work for us economically, and not necessarily feel some of the impact. So there are locations like when we began to talk about building at Beachhead in Florida, their thoughts in the proposal to begin to build out infrastructure with where we have the beachhead. So when you talk about Orlando, when you talk about Florida, where Florida is the first state that's in a position now where you can pay taxes with cryptocurrency in Seminole County. So in Seminole County, you can pay your taxes using Bitcoin right now. But think about that device that's being used. You're still paying a fee for that. But considering Florida now is crypto friendly. If you all just Google, and I can post in the channel once we post the video of this today. I'd like for you all to watch what's happening in the state of Florida. Miami is very crypto friendly. Um, Orlando is very crypto friendly. So why fight against institutions and or government, local or federal government organizations that um, are not crypto friendly? You go just like pouring water down a hill, it's going to go down the path of least resistance. So with that said, we are looking to build facilities or allow the manufacturer to um, locate into facilities that's friendly, um, crypto friendly, and provides a great incentive in terms of the tax structure, in terms of having being in a location where you have access to airports, you have access to rail, you have access to waterways, and you have access to highways. So those are the things that we are putting in place in terms of having the full out proposal over the next 2 to 3 years as we build out this partnership with our manufacturer distributors. We're having conversations now with a few distributors that are open to having new technologies embedded into their businesses. So that will be the primary partner with whom Logiscoin will build in their applications to be able to track and trace from our logistics and supply chain partners. At the same time, and these are more global supply chain partners in certain regions, we are looking to build out the infrastructure for the local distributors. So when you think about Amazon, you um, in have products being shipped around the world by the big players because they have the infrastructure to support it. But then right now you do have that last mile of that supply chain that you're looking to deliver products to a customer in a very efficient way, and that's typically done through some carrier service. So we are looking to build out that infrastructure where we do have not only global partners, global supply chain partners in place, but the distributors who will be able to meet out that last mile of the supply chain. So let me see. Uh, okay, John Jacob. I love that you partnered with SaveNode. Can you elaborate how they work together? Will they be integrated within the ATMs? And for us, we're getting, and I'll just say it like this: all of our crypto partners that we have in place right now, we'll have them in the network, so you'll be able to access that and build your portfolio. Here's the scenario that I see with SaveNode. SaveNode, their application is one in which you would build out your portfolio, and then your portfolio using AI-based technology, which at some point we may be involved because that's my background. I came out of the artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning space. Um, so right now, using AI application within SaveNote, it would automatically rebalance your portfolio depending on what you have, what your risk tolerance is. So, and this is something that you would be able to access on your mobile phone. So it's an AI-based application that will be able to rebalance your portfolio depending on market conditions and your risk tolerance. So I think that's the way, if it's the case, people will be able to have access to digital assets via an ATM machine. So you don't even need to have a computer. You have an ATM machine. You go through your KYC AML process on the ATM machine, which it has that functionality. Provide your identification. You make your purchase of those assets. For instance, LPC, LGS, SaveNode, Tritium, purchase those, and you get a little bit of BTC. Now you have 4 or 5 cryptocurrencies that you'll be able to send to your SaveNote application, once it's sent within your SaveNote application, and depending on what the market is doing, swinging up and down, it would rebalance your portfolio depending on the settings that you specify in advance. And notice, if you want to go spend some of those funds, you can be able to walk down to your local store if they're taking and have a point of sale device, and you can begin to make that purchase. So at this point, guys, I think that was one use case, and how I see it. But then that's based on, at the end of the day, the ultimate decision is based on SaveNote in our discussions with them and how that scenario plays out. Being able to purchase at an ATM machine, be able to set up and make your portfolio, and also be able to make purchases as well. So now you're seeing we're beginning to meet some of the basic characteristics. I think in the long term of money, when it's a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a unit of medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value, considering that you have your portfolio being balanced out. As well, you can use it in a sense to make loans with Tritium and the partnership that we have with them, and having cryptocurrency based loans, being able to go from um, fiat, using your fiat as collateral, and being able to make money, actually loaning your funds out or getting a loan yourself, and then being able to pay back and get in crypto. So that's where we are with the Tritium partnership and relationship, SaveNode partnership and relationship, the ATM machines that will be demoed in December, and the point of sale devices as well. So I'm gonna take another quick pause here. Will those point of sale devices have a fixed price? And that's the question that's coming from. I'm gonna slaughter your names, but I do candidly apologize. Mihalis, um, Sangaris. The point of sale devices, in terms of the price that we have, and just like buying a car, you'll go and you walk up to on the car lot, and then you see the manufacturer suggested retail price. Um, and when you go on a car lot, sometimes it's the case people will pay sticker, what depending on what the manufacturer suggests, and that's going to be driven by a variety of market conditions. Um, from what I understand, that the point of sale devices are manufactured in areas impacted by the tariffs, and we want to make the cost efficient for the partners that we have in place, and subsequent businesses that would purchase the point of sale devices. But we recommend to the partners coming on, and some partners already have masternodes. Some partners are already in the network. When new partners come on, we would recommend that they have a mechanism by which they'd be able to offset any fees coming, or any cost associated with the device. In particular, linking the masternodes and the physical point of sale device together. That provides an option for them where they have the ability that the point of sale device will pay for itself over time, and subsequently fees for use as well. So that's the information I have uh, for us. John Jacob Jingle, I'm gonna call you the four-name guy. Can you send the first ATM to Washington State? LOL. Hmm. I'm going to say that the first device is likely not going to Washington State, but is more than likely will be in the state of Florida. Um, that's our target. But if it's the case, you want to begin, I don't want to go through that process of pre-sale. I'd recommend you guys um, hit me up on the Discord, or let's begin to have private conversations to put some things in place where we get the pre-orders of the ATM machines or pre-orders of the point of sale device. Most of you who already have matching nodes, you will have access to the web-based point of sale device that's without charge. That's if you own a master node, you have access to the web-based version. But if you're talking about the brick and mortar physical POS device, then it's the case. Then there's the cost of being able to acquire the point of sale device, because we just can't give away physical hardware. That's something that we have to be able to square away. But I think in time, the price will be adjusted to the market conditions, and we'll be able to take it from there. I'm going to pause again to see if there are questions. Sweet, thank you. Um, and I like all the competitors in this space. Walton Chain, we'll show them who's the boss. Looking at them, the competitors in the space, understand this is a new industry. I'm Darwinian in a sense that I truly believe that the best ideas and the best execution wins. You can have an idea, but if you don't execute against it very well, it won't succeed. At the same time, if you execute on crappy ideas, it's likely that you're not going to succeed as well. Overall, when you look at the overall market, we're looking to provide alternatives to the current financial system and the way of life, given that we have centralized fiat currency. We have these giant conglomerates and huge financial banks and other institutions that have centralized power so much that the retail or regular consumer, we're in a cycle of debt. We're in a cycle of slavery, economic slavery. We are providing options in the cryptocurrency space to regain your economic sovereignty. So I'd like to compete against Walton Chain. I like to compete against other competitors in the space, but I would like overall for this market to succeed. With that said, I'm hating on Walton Chain. I'm not hating on Dash, despite the fact that there are some representatives within the organization that have said some things and have treated us in ways that I not necessarily like in terms of our interaction. But it's the case. I'm still rooting for them. I'm still rooting for all the folks in this space because the cryptocurrency space needs to grow. We need to provide more alternatives. At the end of the day, one, two, or maybe three or four of us went out in different geographies of the world, depending on where we're concentrating our effort and concentrating our power, where we're establishing our beachhead, the partnerships that we build, the how we're marketing, how we're positioning ourselves in the space, how much education to the up and coming generations about different cryptocurrencies. And that's why I think it's so important for us to be in institutions to actually help build out financial technology programs, because our solutions and our partner solutions will be talked about. Our use cases will be discussed. Students will learn, students will talk to their friends, students will communicate, and subsequently these students go out in organizations and to build out these applications. They'll say, hey, I learned about this when I was actually in the fintech program at UCF, one of the largest institutions in the United States. That's a great beachhead for us to actually start on that campaign. So a variety of different things at the end of the day are going to converge, and few of us are going to win out. Some of them aren't, but at the end of the day, I want to compete against everybody. Yes, I'd like for us to be have a market cap as great as Dash Masternode of 250,000, but that may not happen this year. It might happen depending on what we reveal at the Blockchain World Conference and what we subsequently do with our partners and how we iterate. Um, but once again, I think we're in a great position, and I like to compete at the end of the day. I'm not hating on anybody. I just see you as a competitor. Like Michael Jordan, I want to compete against the best. At the end of the day, we pick out who our competitors are. We're not trying to run them out of business. Traditional players, yes, in the cryptocurrency space, I think we should collaborate to the extent where we can have greater market penetration. And then at the end of the day, once we've established a nice little market position, and some of us can be friendly and not so friendly, and it's the gloves off. But I think right now, in terms of the cryptocurrency community and all of the options around point of sale, all of the options around ATM machines, all the options of being able to build relationships with governments, other institutions, large corporate businesses, and then your basically small mom and pop shops and just peer-to-peer interactions. We went out on that space. I want to compete. I want to win. So with that said, let us get that penetration. Let us go ahead and make some headways over the next month or so, and then make the announcement of our largest partnership to date. And this is my opinion, the announcement that we will make in December will be one of the largest announcements in the masternode space, period, hands down, period, hands down. So if you want to come to the conference, let's hype it up, hear it in person, or yet it's the case, you can probably see it on live stream. They probably have the live stream options available too, and I'll keep you guys up to date in terms of what's happening. It's 10:39. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. We're in a great position, and we'll be able to move on from there. I see Umberto Del Grosso's sound volume is too low. And once again, Umberto, the volume is low both for LPC, LGS, but that's what's happening with the overall market. We're having some microeconomic conditions with our own coin in terms of the volume, but it's one of the things now, as we make value, as we create more value. I'm not focused on the day-to-day fluctuations of the price or the volume or even our market cap at this point, because what I believe is, as we create value, if think about it like this, there's a price, and there's a price that's driven by the market. But then at the same time, there's an underlying fundamentals of the project. Right now, this price fluctuates like this. It goes up and down, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As we create value, we're going to see that there's a huge discrepancy, and the analysts will recognize that. The hedge funds will recognize that. The market will recognize that at some point. So we're having this fluctuation of the price, and it's here, and it may be moving down in correspondence with the general market. But as we proceed to develop more, build more partnerships, gain value, you're going to see this price that's fluctuating up and down begin to align with the value, because and I see the value as building out our partnerships, launching our products, getting market penetration, helping to educate the space, facilitating mass adoption. And that price may be here and the value may be here at this point. But then as the price is fluctuating up and down, huge variability, there's going to be an alignment at some point. And when that alignment happens, that I think that's where you're going to see volume change. You're going to see our market cap change. You're going to see what's happened with our nominal coin price, because we're going to have real world utility. As we deploy on January to our different partners, we will have real world utility in place. So it's no longer speculation. It's at the point people will be using it, and we'll be targeting those geographies, that are crypto friendly, and those areas that are going through some economic conditions that facilitate the use of our products, particularly when the ATM machines and our currency day to day in areas where you may have hyperinflation or the government may be going through some particular issues. That's where I see the price, which is here at this point, our value, which I perceive is here at this point, and then at a certain point in time, there's going to be an alignment from the consumers recognizing the value, analysts recognizing the value, hedge funds recognizing the value, and large investors recognize the values as well. With that said, I'm gonna close this out. Da 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 da. Will each POS device come with the LPC masternode, or will the vendor be responsible for that collateral to host a masternode on their POS? We give them that option, the Jim. Thanks for that question. Um, we recommend for the the point of sale device, it's backed by the master node. If we build the price into the sale of the point of sale device where you're purchasing and it's going to be a package where you can decide, hey, I don't want a master, don't want a master node, and then you're dictated by the fees for LPC, LGS, BTC on that particular and depending on what the market price is and the price for the transactions. But with the master node, you totally offset those costs, and it pays for itself over time. It pays not only for the point of sale device, but it also pays for fees that you would subsequently charge your customers for products or services being purchased on your website or in your physical store location. But it's one of the things where we're going to make it optional. We're not going to turn away a sale because people don't want to necessarily buy a master node. But at the same time, think about it from this perspective: as a customer walking into a store, you're wanting to make a purchase. You are conscious enough where you think about what fees are in terms of making a purchase. What would you do? You expect to have more volume and more transactions when you have no fees, or do you think that overall as a business you would have more transactions and more volume when you have greater fees? So when you have greater fees, my thought is you're going to have some tension, like for instance, what's happening with Kroger, what's happening with Walmart. At the same time, if you don't have any fees associated with it, I think you're going to get more volume. You're going to have more customers coming into your store because they realize, hey, A, you're crypto friendly. B, you don't have any fees. So I think we win that battle when, for instance, it's no fees versus fees. Think Visa, think a point of sale device with cryptocurrency, no fees. Now, let's go cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. BTC at a point of sale device versus LPC at a point of sale device, where you have the fees that are associated with just transmission, no master node back. We beat them. We beat BTC in terms of the cost for the transaction, hands down. Moreover, once you add a master node to that, where you're actually getting paid to support the network and you're getting paid for having that master node, once again, BTC doesn't even have that option because it's not designed that way. That it's the first iteration, it's the granddaddy. We give credit to it, but once again, it's not up to date with what we're doing. It doesn't compete with us on being able to support and provide funds to the point of sale owner. So, all right, I'll close it out, guys. Thanks for your time. We're in a position now the market is down. That's LPC is down. LGS is down. That's I think that's fine in terms of where we are. And considering the general market is pulling back, I tend to focus more on the value that we're creating instead of the value. I focus on the value, which I perceive is here, and the price, which is down here at this point. There's not much that I can move when you have macro condition. You have other individuals with other agendas moving that. But I can focus on value. I can move from pushing our value from where it was 3 months ago to increasing it where it is today. Look at our progress month over month in terms of the announcements that we've made, the progress that we have in place, the partnerships that we've announced, and the partnerships that we will be announcing, and having our manufacturers in place, having our large partnerships being announced in the coming months. So you're looking at almost less than 40 days or so, that we will make an announcement at the Blockchain World Conference. And once again, it is my opinion that it is the largest announcement, largest partnership in the masternode space, period, and one of the top partnerships. I would say one of the biggest partnerships when you compare it to the top cryptocurrency projects. Already, we're going to be one of the top masternode projects. Let's put that aside. Now we're moving out of the masternode space. I think 2019 will be the year of the masternode. 2019 will be the year of the masternode. Last year, it was the ICO bubble. This year, bull market, and you can call it the bear market of 2018. So we had the bear market of 2018, which facilitated the building of infrastructure. Now 2019 is the year of the masternode, and we're going to prove it. All right, guys, let me close this out because I can talk all day. Thanks for your time. and we'll go from there. Take care. OBS.